urban planning is very anti-poor or anti-migrant. We tend to have this fear that if we look after the poor, provide them with housing or civic amenities, more people will come. We have to demolish this myth that migration is a function of economic opportunities and not of, it's not a function of civic amenities. In other words, that because urban areas are creating jobs, urban areas have got wealth, and therefore a large number of informal jobs are being created, which are generally given to migrants. We tend to imagine that they would fly from the place where they have come and go back there. So because there is no place for them where they can sleep, there is no scheme for them. They are daily wage earners, many of them. They can earn 200 to 300 rupees a day, but the kind of housing schemes that we have are not meant for them. At best, they can, if we want to look after housing needs of this class of people, we need to promote rental schemes or night shelters. In fact, in Delhi, there are 1 lakh people who sleep on pavements, but there are just about 14 night shelters giving, and the total capacity is about 2,900. They are also the poorest, but if you go and make an inquiry, you will find none of them has a ration card. So therefore, these people, being the poorest, are being deprived of government's food security schemes also because they don't have a ration card. I visited a slum area, Rangpur Pahadi, which is just about 2 or 3 kilometers from Vasant Kunj in Delhi. And there were people living there since 1980s, and they were not Bangladeshis, they were all Hindus. And despite the fact that they have been living there since 1980s, they did not even have a voter's card. Despite the fact that Delhi government had some scheme for their skill upgradation, etc., but voter's card or ration cards were not given to them. We are looking after those who own cars, but those who are either street vendors or who are rickshaw pullers, there is no planning for that. Hardly 5 to 10% of rickshaw pullers or street vendors are licensed. The others are only sharing their profits or earnings with the police or municipal authorities. So the entire system, to me, it appears, is highly hostile to this class of people. There is no limit on the number of cars you can have, but there is a limit on the number of rickshaw pullers that can be there in the city. There are people in Delhi, I'm sure many of us would be in that category, who have more than one house because we think that it's a good investment. We can keep on buying property. And some of properties are vacant. Shouldn't there be a tax on vacant properties? Why, if you look at it may not be in Delhi so much, but in the NCR region, in Gurgaon, in Noida, and Greater Noida, when I go there, I find that about 20 to 50% flats are vacant. They have been bought by people, but people think that prices will go up, so therefore they have bought it. So I think there should be some kind of a tax on this. Land records are in shambles, especially in Delhi. You go to any JJ colony, you will find there is no record showing how much, who owns this. So therefore, and there is no procedure for constructing a house. So therefore, you will find in these colonies a large number of illegal constructions have come up. In fact, there was a survey done by UNDP which showed that in Delhi, 10% of the population owns or uses 90% of this space. And 90% of our population is based only on 10% of this space. In Mumbai, of the total city population, 55% people live in slums. But the total area occupied by slums is only 6%. So 6% of the space is meant for 55% of the population. That is the kind of inequality. When we define urban poverty definition has to be different from the definition of rural poverty. Poverty in India since the 70s has been defined in terms of consumption. Now, consumption in urban areas may not be a problem. There are many people in Delhi, especially the young people, who may be earning 100 rupees or 200 rupees or 300 rupees. But they are, so therefore, if we look at their consumption of food or other things, they may not classify as poor, but they have no place to live. They have no hygiene facilities. They have no schooling. So therefore, when defining urban poverty, I think we need to be looking at deprivation. We need to be defining urban poverty in terms of absence of civic amenities. So therefore, if we don't have these facilities of housing or hygiene or schooling, then you need to be defined as a poor person, which would mean that in Mumbai today, only 4% people are in the BPL category, whereas 55% people live in slum areas. So therefore, there needs to be some kind of, I know that many people who live in slums are not poor, but still between 4% and 55%, there is a very big gap, and I know that there is a committee set up in the Planning Commission to look at this issue of how to define urban poverty and then how to identify the urban poor. That's again a very big issue.